Marauders for the Month by lishiee. Chapter 13. Time to Debrief. It was officially Tuesday, meaning Lily had astronomy, meaning she can't avoid Pandora anymore. If she has to see her today, she needs to talk about the weekend, have a nice debrief, and who better to debrief with than one Remus Lupin? She and Marlene chatted on their way to Dada, heading to class early to somewhat beat the crowd. They sat outside the classroom, talking about the planning they were set to do tomorrow. The boys arrived shortly after, James, Peter, and Sirius going to talk to Marlene, and Remus heading over to Lily. The professor had been right behind them, unlocking the door and letting them in. "We have so much to talk about, Remus," Lily sighed, walking into the classroom first and going to her seat. Once he was sat down, Lily maneuvered her chair so it was directly facing him. "Do you remember the party?" Remus stared at her and blinked. "Yes, Lily, I didn't drink as much as you did." Lily rolled her eyes. Who gave him this confidence? "I didn't drink that much, Remus," Lily scoffed. Remus arched his eyebrow and crossed his arms. Lily glared at him and did the same. The two stared at each other, staying still until Lily broke, waiting to get on with the conversation. "Okay, fine, whatever. Anyway, do you remember exactly what happened?" "Of course I do. I remember you being all over Pandora, Lily." Lily gaped. She knew she had been a bit clingy, but she didn't think it was that obvious. His response was supposed to be along the lines of, "Pandora hanging out with us was interesting," or "Pandora seemed very interested in you." Not that she was all over her. "Really?" she cringed. Remus only shook his head, holding back a smile and waving his hand, signaling for her to continue. Lily grabbed a piece of her hair and started to twirl it. Well, Lily wasn't sure how to respond. This wasn't how she thought it would go. Well, do you like her then?" The question of the day. Well, more like the week. The month? Lily wasn't sure anymore. How was she supposed to tell? For the past 2 years, the only thing she ever focused on was studying, her grades, doing the best she could in class. Her last relationship was in 5th year with a boy from Hufflepuff, because now she no longer has time for a relationship. Lily reminds herself of this time and time again, hoping to ingrain it in her brain. "I don't know," Lily whispered. "I'm not sure." Remus seemed to think about this for a moment, tilting his head from side to side. "Alright, we'll come back to that. Why did you bring up this weekend in the first place?" Perfect. They got to the part she wanted to talk about. "Well, so I didn't think she liked me like that, but after the events of the weekend, I'm not so sure. I need a second opinion, and you, Remus, are the best person for that," she smiled. Remus couldn't help but smile back. "Go on then." So Lily told him everything. She started with the party, the way Pandora acted when she found out Lily was drunk, the way she had grabbed her chin and tilted it. Yes, one could say that she was just a concerned friend, but in Lily's eyes, some of the things Pandora did were more than friendly. Running her hands through her hair, massaging her scalp, rubbing her arm. Lily honestly had no words. It couldn't be normal friend things. Lily would have been able to tell. She told all of this to Remus. At one point, she asked him if he had noticed anything about her. Remus then told her he was too busy trying to stop her from making a fool of herself. Once Lily had rambled on as much as she could about Saturday night, she made Remus make a consensus. Well, for now. He would have to make another one after the recount of Sunday night's events. "Okay, 1 to 10. Lily clasped her hands together. "I'll give you a nice 6. Some of that could still be considered friendly." Lily was about to respond when the professor walked into the class. Luckily, the only thing he told them to do was work on bookwork. He did not decide to lecture. Next, she recounted Sunday. "So, Sunday night, Pandora and I met at the astronomy tower for a project," Lily started. Remus's eyes immediately widened, now that they were onto the stuff that he wasn't there for. "Since when did you have that project?" Remus asked, starting to lean in a bit, since more people were around them now. Tuesday. Go on, go on. So, we were mapping the night sky. You know how it is, Lily sighed, propping her face on her hand. First, she was trying to show me where the Leo constellation was. She walked behind me, Remus, and she grabbed my fucking wrist and traced it out in front of me with her hands. Remus's mouth fell slightly open. Lily continued, wanting to get through all of it in a timely manner so she could start the classwork. Also, she pointed out Virgo, said it was her sign, and then asked me what mine was. Remus, please, for the love of God, explain to me why when I told her my birthday, she said, and I quote, you know, Aquarius and Virgos have pretty good compatibility. Silence. Lily could tell Remus didn't know what to say. The way his eyes were slightly wider than usual, and his lips were pressed into a thin line. And to top it all off, I was a little out of it after the compatibility comment, so I stared at her ring before she left. Before she left, she gave me the fucking ring, Remus. Just dropped it in my hand and left. Lily wailed. She slumped down and started to bang her head on the desk. Remus soothingly rubbed her back and mouthed something to the professor when he walked over and asked what was wrong. Consensus? Lily mumbled into the desk after a minute of lying there. And what exactly are you going to do with my answer? Lily sat in silence for a moment again, staring at the desk until she picked her head up, glaring at Remus. What are you implying, Remus? I'm just saying you are very interested in Pandora's feelings about you. I feel like we both know the reason for this, and only one of us will admit it. Debrief over, Lily said adamantly, reaching for a tote to grab her textbook. Really, Lily? He deadpanned. Yes, Remus, you're a traitor. He rolled his eyes and grabbed his textbook as well, and they worked the rest of class in silence, only talking when the other had questions. Once class was finished, they walked together to lunch. Lily was dreading going to astronomy. She wasn't sure what she was going to do. Apparently, what Lily was going to do was stand outside the door, staring at it. She didn't want to walk in yet. A second to breathe was needed, a second to prepare herself. Lily was noticing these days that unusual things were happening, things that theoretically shouldn't all be happening. For example, Pandora bounded up behind her and tapped her shoulder. Lily didn't even need to turn around to know it was her. How did all of this shit keep happening? What were the chances? How was everyone always finding her? Hi, Pandora, Lily smiled, turning to face her. Pandora smiled and squeezed past her, opening the door and letting them both in. The two girls walked over to their seats and sat down. Pandora had yet to say a word. Are you not speaking? Lily asked. Pandora pulled out a small piece of parchment and scribbled something down, sliding it over to Lily. Lily cocked an eyebrow and then picked it up. I'm taking a vow of silence. Pandora continued to surprise her. A vow of silence? For what? That's exactly what Lily scribbled down, passing it back over to her. Pandora took a second to start writing. No particular reason. This whole interaction turned into a slew of notes being passed between them. If they couldn't speak, they would just write, and write they did. Lily had never really passed notes with anyone. She usually was either paying attention in class or talking out loud to her partner. There was never a need for her to pass any notes. Passing notes was fun, though. Pandora started drawing little doodles in the empty space and drew hearts instead of dots in her eyes. Being able to admire her handwriting and lightly trace over the indents was magnificent. Lily had never seen such elegant handwriting. The rest of the class was a mix of them doing their work and passing little notes to each other. Once the paper would get full, one of them would rip off another piece and start again. At one point, Pandora had, for some reason, written down Lily's name. Lily had never loved the way her name looked so much. She made sure to slip it into her pocket. At the end of class, Lily turned in their project, and the professor gave them high praises. As always, the two girls walked out of class together. It was a lot harder to communicate when they couldn't write. Thankfully, they were saved by Regulus standing outside. Immediately, he started to sign to her. Of course they both knew BSL. Pandora must have taken vows of silence often because their emotions were fluid and swift. A few times Regulus would scoff or sigh whenever Pandora signed something. Eventually, after about a minute of them signing to each other, Pandora waved bye to Lily and then walked over to Regulus, linking their arm, and started to skip down the hallway, dragging him along. Lily couldn't help but smile. She could honestly tell now that they are really good friends, and Pandora enjoyed spending time with him. Mary and Marlene were off to the side, waiting for her as well. She walked over to them, and they all linked arms, just as Regulus and Pandora had. They made their way to the great hall and sat in their usual seats by the boys. Psst! Mary attempted to get their attention once they sat at the table and started eating. Lily and Marlene leaned in closer. Library for planning tomorrow? After dinner, obviously. Marlene nodded her head and then went back to eating her food. Lily scooted closer to Mary so she wouldn't have to talk as quietly. Pandora knows, right? A slight smirk could be seen on Mary's face before she answered. Yeah, I told her earlier. Lily paused for a second before responding. Did she answer you? Well, no, she's on one of her vows of silence, as you should know. It happens maybe every 3 weeks or something like that. Not very sure, but it's pretty consistent. Lily nodded her head and scooched back over to where she was originally, continuing to eat her food. The rest of dinner was as normal as usual, except Pandora wasn't sitting with them. Lily assumed she was off with her friends eating or something else. Why would she care? It's not like she wanted to pass notes again. Absolutely not. The whole group trudged back to Gryffindor Tower and hung out in the common room. Lily, Peter, and Remus all hung out together on the couch and started discussing the book Lily had just finished. Peter had just finished it as well, so they had a lot to discuss. The rest of the group played chess or talked. Lily wasn't paying them much attention. Everyone started to slowly file out once the sky was pitch black, leaving just the group on the couch to their conversation. Peter was very opinionated about the book, so they were still talking about it. Lily didn't mind though. If she wasn't reading a book, she was talking about one. Sirius ended up coming back down and dragging Remus and Peter up to their dorms after another hour. Lily waving goodbye and going to her own dorm. Marlene was already asleep. The Quidditch team was practicing tomorrow morning, but Mary was still up. Once Mary saw Lily walk in, she put her magazine off to the side and got under her covers. She or Marlene would often stay up waiting for Lily to make sure she got back. Lily said a quick night and got ready for bed herself, making sure to slip the parchment with her name on it into the drawer on her nightstand, for safekeeping. Tomorrow she had to deal with homework and planning the prank. Lily wasn't sure how they had planned the last two in under a day. She wasn't sure if they'd be able to continue to do that. They would find out tomorrow, wouldn't they? Lily hoped they'd come up with something good. Okay, thanks for listening. Sorry if you heard some noise there. But anyway, I think consistent uploads are not going to be guaranteed, but I also felt like doing it today, so here's an extra video. Definitely not going to do another one, although, no, I don't actually want to kill my voice, especially since tomorrow, yeah. Anyway, thanks for listening, bye!